technology time, screen time, electronics time, whatever you guys call it, this stuff is such a blessing and a curse, right? So how in the world do we manage this with our kids? Let's talk about it. If you're new here, I'm Rian, a Christ-following wife and a homeschool mom to 3 boys. Here we talk all things homeschool, and we will learn together how to use our roles as wife, mom, teacher, and homemaker in order to glorify God. If your kids are anything like mine, they love their screen time, whether that be movies or TV shows, whether that be video games, computer games, whatever it is. And that's actually one of our biggest struggles in our house. So here are some things to think on when it comes to this screen time battle, and also what system is currently working for us, because let's be honest, it's an ever-evolving process. So the first thing I want to hit on is heart check. And so what I mean by this is that we need to stress to our kids that video games and TVs in general can be an idol, and especially in our little kids' lives. Like, I have a kid that sometimes if he doesn't have that in check, he doesn't get his screen time and he melts in a puddle and kicks and yells and completely disobeys and loses it. And we have a course of action for when that happens. But they also need to see that screens aren't an enemy, that screens can be used for good, and they can be a good thing to do for leisure. We need to talk about the benefits of screens, but we need to talk about how to keep them in their place. We need to talk to them about the downfalls of technology and how it's not good for your brain to be in front of a screen all the time, and how it's not good to not use your imagination and not to get up and be physical. All the different downfalls. We need to discuss the downs and the ups and everything else with our kiddos and just be very transparent and honest with them. And then we just need to make sure as parents that we're shepherding all that rightly, that we're staying in tune with their hearts and what's going on, so that we can see, okay, do we need to just stop and take a break from screens for an extended amount of time? Do we need to work on some heart issues? Or, is this an okay time to have screens? We just have to be really in tune to our kiddos. And the second thing that I think is a real kicker for a lot of us is we have to model what we want to see in our kids when it comes to screens. So I try to justify this wrongly by saying, well, I need to be doing these things on my phone or my computer, which there are things that I need to do that kids don't have to do. I pay bills online, I do shopping online. Okay, so there are some things. But I talk to friends on Marco Polo. I do all this stuff, which is not bad stuff in and of itself. I'm not sitting there just playing games on my phone all day. However, if I'm telling my kids screens are not good for you for extended amounts of time, and I have my phone in my hand all day long, it's kind of the same thing as if you were saying, no, junk food is bad for you, while you're feeding your kids carrot sticks and you're shoving brownies and soda in your mouth. And the third thing, we have to talk about safety. Now that's the obvious, like actual safety, like not sharing your address or instant messaging strangers and all this different crazy stuff that we have to think about nowadays. And of course we have to worry about them seeing things on screens that they aren't supposed to and talking about that. But also we need to talk about the safety of our hearts for if we have made video games or television shows or something an idol. And we need to guard our hearts from those things, not just the impure bad things that we may see, but just keep our list of priorities lined up correctly. And we need to help them see how to do that by not giving screens a ton of weight. So yes, when I discipline, one of the things that I go to first is to take away screen time because I know they enjoy it. But if I constantly am using that as a bargaining chip, I'm giving screens way too much weight, and I can't be doing that all the time. So all of that to say, those are just some things to kind of chew on and think on as you are trying to decide what is the best way to go about handling screens for your family. And maybe you've tried, like me, 100 different methods. I've tried ticket methods. I've tried so many different things. But right now, here's what is working. And hopefully as you chew on some of these things and think about your family dynamic and then maybe see my system, maybe you can come up with something your own that works for your family. So here's our very basic system. So my children typically have 1 hour a day during the week of screens, whether that be they want to watch a show or play a video game or whatever. Now, there are certain things they have to have done before they get that hour, and that hour is never guaranteed. If we don't get our school done till a certain time, and then we have to eat dinner right after that, and then go to basketball practice, sometimes there's not time for games. That happens a lot on Wednesdays when we have to go to church in the evening. We're usually just trying to rush around to get ready for that, and there's usually not time. Now, if there is 30 minutes of spare time and they've done all of their things, then I say, okay, today's a 30-minute day. Sorry, guys. So they are well aware of the fact that sometimes we just don't get screens, and sometimes that's okay with them and sometimes it's not. And then we know that there's a heart issue. So what things do they have to get done before they can have screen time? For us, they have to get their school done during the week. If their school's not done, don't even ask for screens. Now, there are times that I will pop in an educational show. If it goes along with what we're learning, that doesn't really count because that's part of school. They also have to have their chores done. If you'd like to see how we do our chore system, I will link that up above, and I'll also put it in the description down below. And then they also have to do a pickup. I am not letting them play games, video games, or watch a show if their room is a disaster. If they can't take care of their stuff, then they're not ready for some leisure time. And then most days, again, I show a little bit of grace on this, but most days they need to have read for at least 30 minutes independently, not including their school reading, but independent reading. And then they need to have gone outside for at least 30 minutes also, as long as, the weather is allowing us to. So when my kids are playing screens, they have to come to an agreement of how it's going to work, how they're going to work their hour. Sometimes they like to play together. So they like to take that hour and put in a video game and play it together on the TV, and that's fine. Sometimes, because we have a Switch, so you can take it handheld, sometimes they will do 30 minutes on the Switch, 30 minutes on the iPad. And then sometimes they just want to watch a show or something. Now, weekends we run a little bit differently. So Friday nights we typically have a family night, and because of COVID we usually don't go anywhere, so that usually is a movie night or a game night for us. Now, that can be board games or it can be video games, so that hour is kind of, a little more lax, because if we're all playing, spending time together, or if we have a movie, obviously it's going to run more than an hour. So Friday nights are a little bit flexible. And then Saturdays they can get extra game time. But that is because Saturday is our heavy chore day. And again, I mentioned that in the chore video. That's when it's all hands on deck and we're just getting done whatever needs to get done. And if they participate and they meet all of the other requirements, like their typical chores and their rooms picked up and they've read and all the things, then they can play video games for, I won't say as long as they want, but for an extended amount of time. And then Sundays, we typically go back to our 1 hour rule. So obviously there's no school to have to get done, but they have to have their chores and their pickup done and everything like that. And then they will get their hour, because Sundays we try to keep our days more low key. So screens are hard, but the work to shepherd them through how to use them responsibly and how to prioritize them in their life and not make them an idol, all of that shepherding work is so worth it, and it's vital that we do this. So let me know down below how you handle screens in your home, and please subscribe if you haven't. And also on Friday, I have a video coming up going over writing with ease. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.